What's up, everybody? JT Best Bob, and we have a lot to talk about. There is all kind of stuff going on. We have the Rice news, of course, that's dropped today. Sounds like he is going to be suspended for some amount of time as he took the plea deal. Everybody had kind of, I think, pushed that off into the back burner, assuming that because the trial date hadn't really been set yet or for the end of the year at the earliest, that nothing was going to happen this year. We have prominent Twitter people out there arguing with each other over stuff. We got a lot to talk about. Let's just get right onto it.
I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day. I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no, I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capped in space. I won't stop till I hear him say.
First off, I want to say as you come in tonight, make sure you hit that like button. You guys have been showing me love. You guys have been showing up here. Some of y'all are forgetting to hit the like button. It really helps us out a lot. That goes for all your other favorite streamers too. When you're hanging out in their chat, remember to smash that little button. It doesn't cost you anything. It does go a long way in helping us out. If you watch somebody's video while it's not live, throw a comment in there. Let them know how much you appreciate it. We're all out here together drafting teams, making good content for you. We appreciate all the love when you guys leave comments on past videos and when you smash the like button. Let's get to it. We somebody a few days ago had recommended Marquise Brown as a deep dive, and I thought it only seemed fitting to talk about the KC stuff. And in the while we're doing it, we'll also do the Marquise Brown deep dive, Hollywood, as they call him. What's up, Mark? What's up, Dirty P? Good to see you in here. So I've been thinking about it all day. And my initial thought, was, oh wow, like, that makes all the other receivers, better, of course, blah, blah, blah. I think I've changed my mind on that. Like, I think the sneaky winner that nobody is talking about, everybody's like, oh, does old man Kelsey, does it help him? I see Mark's in the chat. I know he's, thinking it helps Brown. But like at the end of the day, if Rice is who we think he is, or who everybody drafting him, especially in the second round, thinks that he is, well then okay, let's say he's out 5 games. Let's say it's worst case he's out 6 games. I mean, do we really want to chase old man Kelsey up the board and Brown up the board when the second half of the year, especially in the games that it matters, when we're trying to make that last push to make the playoffs, when we're trying to advance out of the playoffs, they just have secondary roles if Rice is really the guy. And then, I was looking at some stuff today and just thinking about it, and I'm really low on Mahomes this year. I have very little Mahomes. Y'all know I haven't been taking Rice in the second round. I think I had maybe like 1 point something percent Rice, and it was only when he would fall to a spot in the third round that I liked him, and my other favorite third round targets were gone. Then sure, whatever, I'll take him. Everybody seems to think that the Chiefs are just going to go back to the Chiefs of, let's say, a few years ago, like few years ago at this point, when Patrick Mahomes was throwing 40 touchdowns and damn near 5,000 yards. I'm not sure that's the case. I am not sure that's what they really want to do. And so I actually think that the winner of all this, a guy that notoriously I've kind of been out on this year because I've been a little worried about his injury. But I think I'm going to start drafting him because I don't think it really affects his ADP. And I think the biggest winner is actually Isaiah Pacheco. And the reason I say that is because I don't know, call it an epiphany, but I just have this weird feeling all of a sudden today. Like, I guess it got the, I guess it was a Rice news that just got me thinking about KC in general. That, like, at the end of the day, I think KC is just content, at least during the regular season, which is when we play best ball, to just be the team that they've been. They have a really, really good defense. The little defensive ranking thing, that list that I told y'all about that I kind of use, has them about 12th or 13th, so middle of the pack, but they can create a lot of pressure with Spags, and they can get big turnovers, and they can get timely stops when they need it. Their offensive line overall isn't that good though. My like averaged out list that I use or that I have has them at about 23. The list that I'm sharing right now on the screen is PFF's ranking, offensive line rankings, and like it talks about, yeah, the Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, that's their anchors, that's the really good part of their line. They even go as far as to say, um, the interior duo of Humphrey and Smith prevents this unit from ranking lower, but unless Moore and Simmons can step up immediately, we might see the worst Chiefs offensive line in years. Moore being the free agent that they brought over. I'll be honest with you, I don't do tons of offensive line research. I'm not really that up to date on who Moore is as a player. I know he's not thought of as like an elite offensive tackle for sure. And then, yes, he's a first round pick, but he is a rookie, Simmons. But like, where do teams get most of their pass rush from, right? Teams get most of their pass rush from the edges, the defensive ends, the linebackers. That's where you bring blitzes at. Like, a team that's willing to just bring in a free agent. I can't think of his name right now, but the Tooney, the guy that was a guard, but they moved him to tackle, and he actually was a pretty damn good left tackle for him last year. They let him go. Chicago, I think, is where he went. And they're content with having. I need to look at more. If anybody is familiar with offensive tackle more, how good is he? Let me know, because I'm not, like I said, too up to date with exactly how good he's expected to be. But I don't think he's like, an elite pass blocking tackle or anything. You got a first round rookie on the other side. He is a rookie, even though he's a first rounder. I don't think that the Chiefs are wanting to go back to this, like, throw the ball all over the field. Mahomes throwing for 4,800 yards and 40 touchdowns. I don't think that's the game that they want to play. I think they are very, very content to play the game that they played last year and the year before that, and probably even the year before that if we went and looked at the numbers. Like, yeah, they're going to use Worthy. They're going to find ways to get the ball in Worthy's hands. They're going to take some deep shots with Worthy, if nothing else, to make sure that teams keep playing that too high safety on them, which opens up everything else that they really want to do. It opens up all of the Rice stuff short and over the middle. It opens up the routes Kelsey likes to run, which kind of Rice everybody assumes is going to be the new Kelsey, faster, quicker, and better than Kelsey, essentially, at least at this point in his career. And then run the ball. Where do they make sure that they have the strength of their line? Right up the middle, which is where they like to run Pacheco a lot. Pacheco's not getting these, big toss plays a lot, and they don't run a lot of, zone read type stuff and things like that. It's a lot of shotgun, out of shotgun, double teams, duos, and traps and that type of stuff. Right up the middle. That's what they like to run in their run game. And so I think, honestly, the biggest two people that benefit the most out of this is one, Pacheco, and two, believe it or not, depending on where he falls to, maybe Rice. I might be interested in Rice now, depending on where he falls to. Because let's say he falls. I haven't really drafted anything today, so I don't know where he's going at based on the news. But let's say he goes to the fourth round. Okay. If you can get Rice in the fourth round, we don't know exactly how many games he's going to be suspended for. But, like, at that price, you can make sure your receiver room's layered enough to where you can maybe get by with him, especially if it ends up being maybe 3 or 4 games. Now if it ends up being a 6 games, that's still going to be a little tough. But Pacheco, I think if nothing else, in a weird way, this kind of buys him some time. If he doesn't start off slow from the injury, maybe as bad as he looked at the end of the year last year, maybe coming back like he did, even though he looked bad, maybe that can be the time that he needed to really, start working himself back into playing shape or whatever. Then he has a whole off season to train and get ready. Maybe he just comes back right out the gate, the old Pacheco. If he does start a little bit slow, I think that they're going to need their running game without Rice, so it buys him maybe a little more time than it would have if Rice was there. Maybe if Rice was there and not suspended, they would be more likely to not lean on the running game, maybe play the rookie Bashard Smith and just, be lean more into the passing game. But I think Pacheco is the biggest beneficiary, in my opinion, for the simple fact that they are going to need to rely on that run game, especially early, and that could give him the chance to, knock off maybe what little bit of rust might still be there and keep his job. And then when Rice comes back, they'll be fully content to just stay with how they've been the last few years, dinking and dunking, taking a shot here and there, running the ball and playing defense. What's up, David? We can draft whatever you want. Give me a recommendation. I'm not really too into BBMs, but I'm kind of open to anything else. We can try to do a sprint. There's a lot of fun contests. I was thinking either Superflex or just the regular puppy. One of those two probably is what I was going to go with first, but I'm open to suggestions. I might do one of the Badge Bros too. We can do an eliminator first. I was just telling someone tonight that I need to get back into the eliminators. Give me a couple minutes. We'll do an eliminator. But anyways, that's the Kansas City offensive line. The second part of it was somebody before the news broke had wanted me to do a deep dive on Hollywood Brown. And when I first saw the Rice news this morning, my initial thought was, maybe this makes Rice a really good pick. But then I thought about it more throughout the day and did a little research on it for the deep dive tonight, and he's not a guy that I want. In the eliminator, I think that's the one tournament where maybe if he doesn't move up the board a lot, maybe Brown could be a good pick, but he really hasn't been good in a while, like he was supposedly the guy there in Arizona for a while, or at least one of the main guys. And like I went back and added up and did looked at his numbers, not last year, leaving last year totally out of it, but the 2 years before that in Arizona, in 26 games, he averaged 4.5 catches, he averaged 49 yards, and about one touchdown every 4 games. I don't know. That's not really a guy to me that like, yeah, I know he was injured last year, but like even if he comes back fully healthy this year, I think the main kind of role that he can serve for Kansas City's offense is a new and improved MVS where like he gets a lot of the just you're gonna run a deep route and you're gonna make sure the safeties stay home because if they don't, you'll be wide open and we'll throw you a bomb. But the safeties are gonna probably be there and more of just a field stretcher. If anything, in my opinion, I only have like 1% of him in regular tournaments. I have 2.6% of him in eliminators. So I'm pretty out on him and I do not think that changes anything with the Rice news, because at the end of the day, I don't want to. If I want to take a guy just for, if I want to take a guy just for like what he may be able to do, to kind of help me out a little bit here and there, or let's say early season, if I want to take a guy just for like early season stuff, there's guys cheaper that I think can be just as useful as Hollywood. I mean, that's just my thoughts. We'll move on from it though. If he's your guy, Mark, keep on clicking him. But he hasn't really been really good since back in his Raven days. I think we all kind of, wanted him to be good there with Kyler. And yes, Kyler was hurt some of that time, but some of that time Kyler wasn't hurt. And at the end of the day, it just boils down to, I really think if Kansas City really wanted to go out and this year just start chunking the ball all over the field again, and then more so throwing it to more intermediate and deep passing routes where you would expect somebody like Brown to kind of work. Brown isn't taking Rice's, short, quick hitting type stuff. He's not even filling in for Rice because they'll just throw the ball to Kelsey, and they'll just put Juju in there in the slot role that Rice was going to play, and Brown will still be on the outside. But like, you don't just bring over, probably a guy that's thought of as kind of maybe a average at best offensive tackle. And yes, they did draft somebody in the first round, but generally first round offensive tackles, at least in the pass blocking aspect of it, they don't come in just as, true studs right away or anything like that. It takes time. You're going from blocking college level pass rushers to blocking NFL pass rushers on a game in, game out basis, the best in the league. So I don't know. That's just kind of my take on it. I didn't load my let's see. Give me a second. We can do an eliminator, David. I'm gonna. Um, why is it not showing the extraction part? Normally, there's a little button there where I can extract my teams. Forgot to load up my things. There it goes. We are going to do an eliminator first. And we will jump in it at 10:20. As soon as the clock hits 10:20, we will jump in it. Eight spots left, so we have plenty of room if you want to get in it. 8 spots left in the eliminator. I might kind of have to go off memory. Normally, I like to have Huhane's chart pulled up on my other computer. I wasn't necessarily expecting to do an eliminator today, so I don't have my charts pulled up, but it's no big deal. I just like it because I can see everybody's first 6 games. Put this background back on. I kind of like it. David, you had mentioned the Badge Bro contest. So I did one of those earlier today. It's the only thing I drafted today. I don't know what I think about it. It's kind of wild. Everybody has super teams. We can try one at some point tonight because there's a particular strategy that I want to try the next time. I told myself the next time I draft one, I want to try and do a particular type of build in it, strategy that I think could kind of work based upon just how I saw things going earlier. But I don't know anything about that contest. I've never done them in the past. I was always mostly on DraftKings before this year. So that is a contest that is totally new to me, not gonna lie. What's up, Hardman? Thanks for stopping by. If you guys missed it last night, we had Steve on the channel and we were drafting Superflex teams, of course. And probably one of my overall favorite Superflex teams we put together. It is I actually posted it in Who Hames Discord. If you want to go take a look at it, it's under the Superflex Rate My Draft tab. This is an eliminator, Hartman. Hop on in there with us. David recommended the eliminator, so that's what we went with. I was kind of open tonight. But anyways, we were picking from like the 11th spot, I want to say. Maybe the 12th spot. I don't know. We were picking somewhere right there on the very back end. And I talked Steven. He was a little hesitant, I think. But I talked Steven to doing my double position player thing. So we started with Gibbs and CMC. But then something I've never seen, which I haven't done as many Superflex as Steve, and Steve said that he doesn't recall ever seeing it. Drake May came all the way back to the end of the third round. So whereas normally when I start with like two position players, say at the 11 or 12 spot, you have to go with like Trevor Lawrence or somebody like that as your first QB in round 3. We actually got Drake May as our first QB. Ended up having two more QBs behind him that we felt good about or okay about. I think we even threw Milrow on there for some, late season. I think it was Drake May, JJ McCarthy, and I don't remember the third. But then we had Gibbs and we had CMC. We actually got Higgins to fall a little bit at receiver spot. So even though we did the running back, and then three quarterbacks, we still ended up with Higgins and Travis Hunter as our top two receivers. It was a really freaking nice team. Need 5 more for the eliminator. I can try to actually pull it up for you guys since the eliminator's taking a little bit to fill. Let's go look at it real quick. Let me find it real quick. Rookie, sophomore, super flex, German Shepherd. We ended up drafting 2 teams, but it was the second one that we drafted. Old Man Rogers, that's who we took. But we had ended up with a team of Drake May, JJ McCarthy, and Aaron Rodgers. And then we threw Milrow on there just for some, possible late season upside. In the very last round, we took Sam Howell just as kind of insurance for McCarthy. The running back room was Gibbs, CMC, Travion Henderson, Jordan Mason, Will Shipley, and Brashard Smith. Wide receiver room still had Higgins, Hunter, Diggs, Shaheed, Kyle Williams, and MVS. Tight end room was Tyler Warren, Ferguson, and Pat Fryermuth. So I don't know. Overall, I really like this freaking team. We got, little dips. It all adds up. We got little dip on Higgins, little dip on Hunter. The big one was, Drake May. He never goes back to that back end like that. We were picking from the 11th spot. Normally right here in that 11th spot, you're lucky if you get like, CJ Stroud or, Trevor Lawrence, somebody like that, maybe a Jordan Love. And it was funny, after we picked them, we both were saying the same thing, that we were watching the board and didn't really want to jinx it or nothing, but we saw those two receivers go, and then we both assumed this guy would take Drake May, and he went with Herbert. We both assumed that guy would take Drake May, and he went with Love, and he kind of just, fell right into our lap. It worked out. We like the team a lot. Still need 4 more. Dirty P, I've been in his Discord for a little bit. Glad to see you find Who Hames Discord. I was going to ask you if you were in the crew Discord. That team you and Steve drafted was nice. That Drake May gift really hit the spot. You know, as somebody new to streaming, like first and foremost, I do this for me. Like it's really an outlet for me, guys. Like it's, just with my lifestyle with 4 kids and all, I don't really get to just get out and, shoot the shit and talk ball with, a bunch of friends. Most of my good friends don't even live around me. They live in different parts of the, world because they're friends from years ago and we just don't live that close anymore. So first and foremost, I do this for me. I really enjoy just hanging out and talking with you guys and stuff. But at the end of the day, if we're going to stream, we want to kind of get our name out there. So when I first started streaming, I joined a bunch of Discords. I got in one little group on X, which I actually ended up getting out of that group today. Long story, but just I don't know. Not for me, not my cup of tea, I don't think. But I'm kind of getting to that point now where, I'm really trying to just hone down on where I do want to spend my little bit of time on social media. And the problem with Discord was there was about 3 or 4 Discords that I was in, and I really didn't have the time to keep up with any of them, all of them. And so I just was like, well, you know what? I guess I'll be more of a Twitter guy. And I guess I'll just try to, stay active a little bit on X, which I'm still pretty active on there. That's what I like to look for as far as like certain people that I follow for news and stuff like that. But I decided to pick one Discord and try to like somewhat be active in Discord because I feel like if I'm active in one of them, then it doesn't seem overwhelming or anything. It's not like I'm trying to keep up with what's going on in 3 or 4 of them. And yes, friend of the streams, Who Hames Discord is the one that I picked to try to start being active in. I like Who Hames. He's a really good dude. I always enjoy the talks when I've been on his channel or when he comes on here. But that's enough of that. Let's get to the draft. I know David hopped in here with us. He is in the 6 hole. I don't recognize anybody else, but if you are in the draft and you happen to be in the chat, let us know and we will call you out. I don't know yet if we're going to do 2 or 3 drafts. We'll see. Make sure you guys hit the like for me. The more likes you give us, that always makes us want to stick around a little longer. So show me some love. We'll see what happens. This one's for you, Mark. I do like CMC a lot more in the Eliminator, I think, than in the regular format. I have 10% CMC in the Eliminator. I know I'm a lot lower than that on him in the regular tournament. I think this is my Eliminator percentages. It should be. It's got to be. Yeah, it has to be because I know I have more BTJ than that than nothing in the regular formats for sure. Let's see, what do we want to do here? Coming around to us in the second round. I think we just go running back, start our team off with a little CMC and JT. Nothing wrong with that. 2 guys with late bye weeks. Hopefully gets us out of the first round or out of the first week. Just got to be top 6 and then can put up some nice weeks for us as we move into the head-to-head matchups. Yeah, I definitely have the notifications disabled. I just kinda get in there whenever I have a little time. Yes, Who Hames is a sharp guy. I enjoy chatting with him. I enjoy listening to him talk. I try to catch most of his streams. Most of the time, I'm a lurker on his streams. Most of the time, I'm busy either driving somewhere or doing something with the kids. But I got an earbud in and kind of keeping an ear on what he's doing. I agree with a lot of things with him, and I disagree with some. If CMC is healthy, he's a smash. Yes, that is always the case. I do have questions about how he holds up over the whole course of the year. I guess I just figure taking him more in the eliminator than I do in the regular format is a good way to play it. I still take him some. It's just I can't take him in the regular format over Gibbs. I'm not going to take him over Lamb. For a while, I was taking Puka and Neighbors over CMC, but I had decided about a week ago that I want to start taking CMC over those two because I have over 10% both Puka and Neighbors, but I am lower than I would like to be on CMC. So realistically, the only way I can take him is when I get like a 7, 8, 9 pick and all of these guys here are gone already. It just hasn't worked out that I haven't really had many picks right there since I made that decision, but we'll get there. Interested to see who takes Rashee Rice. Looks like I have 10% Rice in the eliminator. That was the one tournament I actually was taking him in because most of my eliminator teams, I drafted a lot earlier in the year. That's what I was saying the other day is that I want to get back to drafting more. I only have, let's see, I only have 38 eliminator teams. And when it's all said and done, I want to be at least 70 or 80 range. I don't have the time to max it, but I want to at least get up to like 70 or 80 teams. And the plan all along with the eliminator was kind of draft a lot of them early, which I did. Like a lot of the drafts I was doing late May and into June were eliminator drafts, and then kind of take a break, once we kind of hit that dead time that we've been in the last month or so, kind of take a break from the eliminator and try to get in more of the, time box contest, the contest that would be that we've all been drafting the last month or so, um, that are all filled and gone now because I knew the eliminator would still be around. I knew the eliminator would still be around come we don't want to do that actually, I don't think. Let's go Kittle. Team so far, CMC, Taylor, Wilson, and Kittle. Maybe the game that CMC doesn't just quite go nuts in. Maybe it's because Kittle has a couple touchdowns. Somebody's going to have to catch the ball for him. And Ayuk, I don't think will be there early season at least. But that was kind of the plan the whole time. Getting back to my eliminator strategy is to kind of wait until camp was either going or about to start going and then start drafting some more. We have like 49 days till the season, so probably 40 something days before this tournament ends. So, or before it's filled. I don't know how early it'll fill, but I imagine it'll be somewhat close to the end. Who knows? Maybe not, but if I draft one eliminator a day on average, I'll end up with 70 or 80 of them, which is kind of where I want to be. Some days I'll probably do more. I'll have a lot more free time the end of this month. I plan on doing a lot of drafts, basically the week of the 26th, that weekend through the next weekend. The wife and the girls will be out of town on a girls' trip for about 8 days. So it'll be just me and my two puppy dogs for the most part. And we're going to do a lot more drafting than we normally get to do then. We'll make up some of the volume in some of these tournaments that we really want to get volume in then. Thought about going with Metcalf, but I'm going to go Ridley just because I like the late bye week. Late bye weeks are nice in the eliminator. The more you can get players you really like with late bye weeks also and not overlapping, but even if they overlap a couple, especially if they're late, whatever, it's not the end of the world. What's up, Green Bean? Good to see you stopping by. I'm not a big handcuffer on any formats, really. I mean, it's just I play it both ways, but not on the same team, if that makes sense. What I mean by that is yeah, I like drafting a lot of the backup running backs who I feel like have secure number two jobs, but I prefer to draft them on teams where I don't have the starter. And then like take Indy. Indy is the perfect example. I am really in on JT, and y'all know Giddens is my highest drafted player overall in the whole format. Um, Even though he has an early bye week, we're gonna take Swift here. Gives us a third running back who could really put up some nice spike weeks here and there. Even though he has an early bye week, we're not too worried about it because we'll still have CMC and JT during those times. But going back to the Indy running backs, I'm in on JT, and Giddens is my highest drafted player, but I've never drafted him on the same team. It's kind of like, I guess in a perfect world for me, JT smashes this year, but maybe he just misses, you know, 3 or 4 games here and there. But a lot of my JT teams are good enough still that the other weeks when he smashes helps enough that those teams still make the playoffs. Maybe, Giddens being the RB1 for 3 or 4 weeks really helps those particular teams. I mean, we're taking him really late in the draft, right? Like 180s, 190s. I don't know. I may be looking at it wrong, but I'm okay taking a guy in the 180s and 190s as a running back. If he gives me 4 really usable weeks because the starter was out and it helps that team make the playoffs, then so be it. That wasn't a guy I was drafting counting on to be in the playoffs popping for me. It could happen, and sure, if it does, then I have a shitload of him. But same thing with quarterbacks. I mean, maybe in a super flex, like I think I have taken Tyrod Taylor a couple times on a Fields team in super flex just because you can get Taylor in the very last round of the draft. And Justin and Fields always kind of, does tend to miss some games here and there. Don't know if we quite want to go to quarterback yet. D'Lo just took Diggs. That was one guy that I was eyeing. Let's take Debo and hope that he can get in shape before the start of the season. Got a nice little discount on him. Garrett Wilson, Ridley, Debo. We have Kittle. We have CMC, Taylor, and Swift as our running backs. The team's coming together a little bit. We're liking it. We're liking it. Yeah, that would be nice. I don't think that'll happen. It could. I mean, I kind of would rather because I also have like 20 something percent JT. I'm really in on him. For me, that I think the way I laid it out would be the best scenario that like JT smashes, but maybe, maybe he just tweaks an ankle and misses 4 games in the middle of the year. In those 4 games that he missed, Giddens going off for those 4 games kind of helps, some of the teams that he's on maybe move up in the pod. None of us know, right? That's the beauty of this. We don't know how things are going to shake out. I think we want to go grab us a quarterback here maybe. If I don't see any receivers we like better. Made the switch at the last second. We decided to go receiver. Got him in quick enough. We were going to take Baker, but we decided to go with Pittman as a fourth receiver. I'm liking this team. We have 3 running backs. Obviously, the 2 up top, and then Swift. Now we have 4 receivers we feel good about for where we drafted them. Wilson, Ridley, Debo, Pittman. We have Kittle, so we'll especially with Kittle having a week 14 bye, we're probably going to keep this at a 2 tight end team and just grab somebody that we're okay with later on in the draft, which kind of opens us up to take 3 quarterbacks. So I don't think I necessarily needed to go Baker there. Feel like I'll get me the first QB maybe in the next round, and it'll be somebody that we like at least or feel pretty decent about. Maybe even double tap QB with the next 2 picks since I got a little depth at running back and receiver now. We'll see. Yeah, you showed me that. I thought it was awful low. That's a good prop bet to jump on for sure. Also read something today about my boy. We got the signed jersey in the back there hanging up. CJ Stroud was talking about how he dedicated the offseason to getting his body in better shape, and he's hungrier than ever to coming out this year and showing what he can do. He was really disappointed obviously by his performance overall and their performance, especially considering what he did as a rookie, which honestly I just heard that today, but let me make this pick and I'm going to tell y'all something. You can believe me if you want to or not. Maybe if my son Colin, who pops in my streams every now and then, pops in tonight for some reason, he'll back it up. He can tell y'all that I said this months ago. Let's go with Dak here. So one reason why I've been drafting a lot of the Texans, if you watch my streams, one of my favorite things to do is put Higgins and Kirk on the same team, feeling like I know I'm going to get, a usable week out of one of the two. I kind of had a feeling that CJ was doing exactly what he said he did. And the reason is because as a diehard Texans fan, like read everything I can about them. I literally follow one of their ex players, Seth Payne. He has his own little YouTube channel. He works for the Houston radio, and he's always making like little YouTubes about it. And he has a lot of connections still inside the building, being a former player and all. But 2 years ago, the rookie year or after the rookie year, that off season, if you remember, or if you noticed or follow him, I guess close enough, CJ was everywhere in the media. He was all over social media doing this and doing that, taking this trip here, doing this promotional thing, that promotional thing. He was overseas with Micah Parsons for a month on some sort of, NFL spread the word, yada yada tour and stuff like that. Let me make this pick real quick. Speaking of which, probably only right maybe we go ahead and take Higgins here. Yeah, let's do Higgins. But anyways, this offseason, it was stone cold quiet. It was like CJ didn't even exist. Literally, like they lost their last game to KC. He did his little, media exit interview that he had to do. And like literally, I don't think I saw maybe one thing about CJ Stroud in the media or on social media or anything like that, literally until right before OTAs. And so it was like I've kind of had this feeling all summer that dude had just put his head down and went to work somewhere, training his butt off, getting ready for a bounce back year. And then the first time he kind of emerged for OTAs and stuff, all we hear is about like, Nick Caley, the new offensive coordinator, how he's putting all this blind trust in him, and CJ's going to have all this freedom at the line of scrimmage to change plays, which is what he wanted and probably the reason Slowick got fired. Apparently, there was a lot of, headbutting going on. Slowick kind of do it my way type of coach, like didn't really give CJ any freedoms to check in and out of a lot of stuff. But that's just a little insider information. Do not sleep on the Texans passing game this year. Take it for what you want. So yeah, I think we'll go ahead and take CJ as our QB2. Can't just like talk the man up for 5 minutes about their passing game and how it's going to be a big bounce back year and then not take Higgins and not take CJ. Kind of made sense for this team, though. We needed a quarterback too. Now we have two of them that we like. We'll get a third one before the little group that we like is totally done. We have Kittle. Higgins was our fifth receiver, I believe. Yeah. We need some more running backs still, too, though, before they're all gone away. But there's some guys we like coming up. 167. Dylan Sampson is just moving up and up the board more and more every day. Into the 14th round now. Yesterday or the day before, he was going in the 15th. Now he's up to the 14th. Are you guys chasing Sampson up the board? I think what we want to do here is hope that one of those quarterbacks can come back. We're going to go with Ferguson because I really wanted to keep this at two tight ends. We had Dak, so it kind of makes sense from that standpoint. Now we have Kittle and Ferguson. That is definitely a good enough tight end room that I don't even have to worry about thinking about a third. Wide receiver, we're probably going to hold off on for a little bit. We want to get some more running back help, and we're going to hope that one or two of the quarterbacks that we still like come back to us. I mean, we're not too worried about it. I mean, we have Dak and CJ. at the end of the day, we're not going to take somebody we don't like or somebody that's a bad value just because we feel like we need three. We can rock with those two. What's up, Disbanded? Good to see you stopping by, my man. Not really what? You talking about the 3,000-yard comment? Stroud has been a faller in several rooms recently. I've taken him twice in the 150s unstacked. I think because Nico Drafter is likely taking elite QB. Hey, grab him all you can. I think his price is good in the 130s. But yeah, if you can get him even cheaper, why not? Let's see. 70s. What is this guy in front of us going to do? Is he going to go quarterback? He did not. Michael Penix was the guy that we was hoping would come back to us as a third quarterback. CJ and Penix have early bye weeks, but we're not worried about it. Dak will be there to help cover with the late bye week. And at the end of the day, even on week 5 and 6, we'll still have two quarterbacks that are live. We put off running back after we drafted Swift just because we started with McCaffrey and JT. So we felt like, especially with both of them having a late bye week, that could buy us some time to really build out the rest of the rooms a little bit. When it comes back around in a minute, though, we will get back to the running back room with the next pick, I do believe. Particular guy I have in mind, we'll see if he comes around. Got enough Samson in pre-draft contest. Got to get off the Browns. Vibes are very low. You know the one guy on the Browns who I've been trying to get more of, it just hasn't worked out? Tillman. I think Tillman can be a really good pick where he's at, especially now if they end up losing Judkins for a while and they can't rely on their running game as heavily as they might have wanted to. Roshan is another week 5 guy, but we still like the role that, well, no, but I also took Swift. Dang it. I forgot I drafted Swift on this team. That kind of blows. I just messed up a good team. Oh well, it happens. That's the one thing I got to get better at is being 100% focused on my drafts while I'm talking and streaming. I'm not afraid to admit that I'm human and that this is something new to me, right? Like until this year, I've never had to talk and interact with chats and give my takes on stuff while I was also drafting. But I enjoy doing it, so we'll just keep working to be better at it. Maybe it works out. Who knows? Maybe they have spike weeks. 1 week, Swift goes off. 1 week, Roshan just gets 2 goal line carries. It could happen, but I wish I wouldn't have taken him. Forgot we had Swift. I guess I've just never pushed QB so late that I'm desperate enough to feel like I can take an unstacked Stroud fall. You know, Green Bean, we're always trying to get better, man, right? And one thing that I think I've opened up to this year, and it's been some of my talks with Steve and just listening to Steve talk in general. Let me make this pick real quick so we don't mess it up again. See who's out there at wide receiver. And nothing we want to do yet. I think we're going to go with Shipley here. Essentially, we have a good running back from the Bears as long as they don't totally split the work enough each week that neither one of them is useful. Hopefully, it doesn't work out that way. If one of them gets hurt and the other one has a huge role, Well, we got him. But like we said, it was an accident. We didn't really mean to. Not gonna sit here and lie to you guys and act like I didn't make a mistake. But anyways, Green Bean, back to the unstacked quarterback thing. It was Steve talks about a lot of times there was a particular tournament. I want to say it's the big board. And I know it could have been a just very random one-off thing where he finished fourth, and part of the main reason he did was an unstacked Baker Mayfield. Let me see here. What do we want to do? What do we want to do? I think we want to go receiver here. Probably DeAndre Hopkins, I think. Let's go Hopkins. And then correct me if I'm wrong, somebody. Somebody else might know it, but I believe there was actually a BBM winner one year who notoriously had an unstacked quarterback, or maybe it's some other contest. But at the end of the day, it's like we need points, right? And like there is scenarios where taking an unstacked quarterback can help your team more than not. And I want to say that, like, looking back on it, that was probably one area that I felt like my game, my drafting, my team building could improve some, because up until very recently, up until maybe like a few weeks ago, I was the type that I was very, very hesitant, especially with a pocket passing quarterback or somebody you think of mainly as a pocket passing quarterback like Baker. You don't think of him as like a, you know, Fields, Lamar type runner, Jalen Hurts, what he's doing with his legs. But guys that you think of more so for what they do with their arm, I've always been hesitant to draft them unstacked, even if they were falling a little bit. Now, I don't think you should go out of your way to reach. And I think there's a time and a place for it. And I think it's all about the value of who you do it with. I'm not grabbing Burrow unstacked because of where he goes in the draft. Yeah, he's a really damn good quarterback and he's going to put up good numbers for you. But when you can get him with Higgins or Chase, and so then you get, or even both of them sometimes, and then you get the benefit of, yeah, when Burrow blows up, you also have the pass catcher that's coming along with him. That's totally different than, having somebody that you took in the fifth round or whatever who's not going to provide much rushing unstacked. Let's go Brashard Smith for a sixth running back. And then I think essentially it's like we kind of have five running backs because we did the double Bears thing. So essentially we have CMC, Taylor, the Bears running back room, Shipley, and Smith. I think we're probably going to leave it at that and add a seventh receiver. I think that's what I want to do. We do have a couple 6 and 7 bye week receivers. Not really sure who we would like to add. Maybe we'll go Ray just because he stacks with the quarterback. He's our last guy in anyways. That's the team. Dak, CJ, and Penix. CMC, JT, Swift, and Roshan. Will Shipley and Brashard Smith. Receiver room is Wilson, Ridley, Debo, Pittman, Jaden, Hopkins, Jaden Higgins, that is, Hopkins, Ray McLeod, Kittle and Ferguson as the tight end room. At the end of the day, I wish I had that Roshan pick back. I was really liking the team until then. Oh well, it happens, right? But going back to the QB thing, let's let's look at some of the guys on the board. This is an eliminator, so the ADPs are a little different, but especially guys who go later in the draft, like Penix, or even Bryce Young, CJ, I mean, they're Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams is a guy, perfect candidate, who I would say, like, especially if you had a little fall on him, maybe you were trying to, set up some other stuff. Maybe you were trying to set up a Dallas stack. Maybe you maybe wanted Fields, or maybe you have Fields. Maybe you have Fields. Maybe you have a Drake May, you know, and you need that QB2, and Caleb sitting there, like a quarterback like him who has multiple pass catchers that can be good options. Are there worlds where, like, yes, one, it can help you during the regular season, but especially in the playoff time, is there a world where, like, Caleb Williams can have a 20 something point game, but there wasn't necessarily a receiver you wanted? Because, like, maybe, DJ Moore had 2 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown, which at the end of the day isn't huge for where he's drafted, and maybe Rome had, like, 4 catches for 80 yards and no touchdown. Give Loveland, a few catches here or there, and maybe Burden caught 1 pass for 30 yards and a touchdown. None of those guys you necessarily are going to help you advance out of that pod. But at the same time, Caleb just had over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in that scenario. So he had a damn good day. Well, what if he hit your lineup as the top quarterback with that 320 yards and 3 touchdowns? Maybe he ran for like 20 or 30 yards, that's an extra 3 points. But now, the receivers that you took, let's look. Where's DJ Moore at? Let me maybe Rome, you know, instead of Rome, maybe you had a running back there, maybe you had Pacheco, and Pacheco had like 2 rushing touchdowns that day. Maybe instead of DJ Moore, you know, maybe you had Terry McLaurin and he had the big day, or Mike Evans had the big day. There's a scenario where certain quarterbacks like that, I think it could be very useful for. Some of the other guys, like Bryce Young. Bryce Young is a guy that, like, I myself am very hesitant to draft Bryce Young when I don't have Tet. That's just me personally, and I think the reason being, I just don't see many scenarios where Bryce Young really just has that awesome day and it didn't involve Tet having a really good day too. I mean, yes, it could happen. It's just less likely of a chance. Same thing with Geno. Geno's not a guy that I like to take unstacked. I only like to take Geno, and I target Geno when I have Bowers, because I'm really in on Bowers this year. And I feel like any game that there's a damn good chance that any game that Geno has a good game where you would really, really want him in your lineup, probably Bowers had a damn good game also, you know. Um, Tua, if it wasn't for his injury risk of a concussion totally shutting down his whole season, I think Tua is a good guy that if you really need a third quarterback and he's fallen a little bit, throw him on there unstacked. He could very well have one of those games like we just talked about where he has 3 touchdowns and 300 yards, and it's split up in a way between Hill, Waddle, Achan caught a few passes, maybe even old man Waller got in there for a little bit of the action. Matthew Stafford, he could have one of those days, even though he doesn't add anything with his legs. As a third QB on a team where you just really needed to get a third QB, he could definitely have a 300 something yard, 3 or 4 touchdown day, and it just gets split up to a way where you didn't have to have first round Puka or third round Adams to still benefit from Stafford being on the team. I don't know. That's my unstacked QB rant. He is the luckiest BBM winner. And I was very unlucky myself in that finals because I had not in BBM, it was in a DraftKings Millie Maker, but I had Jamar Chase on a team in the finals, and Dawson Knox was on that team as well. Was looking forward to obviously seeing what Chase would do. Maybe I got lucky and Dawson Knox caught a touchdown pass or something because that was the pre-Kincaid days where Knox would just out of nowhere catch a random touchdown or two. But he is a smart guy, though. But he also was very lucky. The dude literally died so that Kerrane could win BBM. Yeah, he did. Nothing to joke around about. Luckily, he's still alive. Let me see what we want to go draft real quick. Let's look at David's team real quick. I almost forgot David was in here with us. He went with the 3-6-7-2. Brock Purdy, Herbert, and Anthony Richardson. That's smart in eliminator. I mean, whatever. You got Purdy and Herbert to carry you through. We don't know yet. There was a report today that Anthony Richardson says that his shoulder is going to be just fine and he'll be able to, do stuff in training camp. We'll see if it holds up. We'll see how true it is. But, why not? At the very end of the draft, all the other quarterbacks was pretty much gone. If you luck out and he gets the job, bam, you got a third QB with elite rushing upside at least. Hall, Henderson, Pollard, Tracy, Eckler, and Brooks. For me personally, I like my running back rooms in the eliminator to be a little stronger than that, but hey, it could work. Pollard's a starter. Tracy probably plays more over Scatterboo early in the season at least. Shh, don't tell the fan speak people I said that. Austin Eckler, he'll be involved. I'd assumed, yeah, you made up for it with receivers. I mean, CD Brown, Terry McLaurin, Diggs, Harris, Pierce, and Jalen Noel, Hunter Henry, and Zach Ertz at tight end. I mean, you already know wide receiver is going to carry the team. You have Diggs as your fourth. So you can probably count on getting a flex from there. Most weeks, they all have late bye weeks. So, yes, that helps the getting a flex from there most weeks scenario, which means at the end of the day, the Jets are probably going to try to want to run with Brees a lot. So you can count on him, and you just need one of these other guys to hit for you each week. It's a good team, David. I like it. We all have our different ways. I like my running back room a little bit stronger in the eliminator, but it could definitely be a smasher. I don't know what I want to draft yet. Let me look through the lobby. You know what? I do know what I want to draft. I think I want to draft another one of these super flex because I don't know if they'll do another super flex out of this after this, I should say. And like I always tell y'all, time is always my thing. And I want to get a few more in. So at 11:11, anybody who wants to join the Superflex with me, we'll jump into Superflex at 11:11, which is now. Give me 1 second. I'm looking at something on a different tab real quick. Uh, 5 more people, so plenty of room if you guys want to hop in it. Why is that doing that? Get off of there. Give me just a second, guys. I'm trying to go upload my Superflex rankings. Or not rankings. I'm sorry. I'm trying to upload my Superflex stuff for the best ball overlay. Get some up to date stuff for that in here. That should fix that. Don't really want the player tool up right now. We filled it. What spot did we get? We got the 4th. Mark jumped in here. He has the 2 spot. David's in again with us. He's in the 5 spot. Should be a fun draft. Steve is in the 11th spot. Green Bean is in the 12th spot. It's going to be a fun room, boys. It is going to be a fun room. What's up, Steve? How's it going, my man? I was just shouting you out. I was just talking about someone was talking about if you look back in the chat, they couldn't sometimes they can't take even the dropping value on say a Stroud if he's going to be unstacked. And I was just saying how I used to kind of be that way. Honestly, it was kind of hearing you keep talking about your Baker Mayfield unstacked team that made 4th in the big board that got me a little more open to the right situations. I went on actually like probably 5 minute rant about it, but certain quarterbacks in certain situations, I do think taking them unstacked is just the right move, especially when they're falling a little bit. We're not going to try anything funny from the 1 through 4 spot. I actually like Daniels, I think, a little bit more than Hurts. So I'll call that a gift. And we'll just keep moving on. Daniel's at the 4 spot. Nothing wrong with that. We'll see what comes back around to us. Something tells me, Steve, that Drake May is not going to be there in round 3 in this room. That was crazy. Yeah, no, for sure. And like my thing was and how I've been kind of playing it is the examples I give is like Burrow. I don't want to take Burrow unstacked because of where you would have to take him ADP wise. But like the one guy that I give, as the one guy that some of the guys that I was given as examples are the guys that have multiple pass catchers to where you don't know necessarily like they could have a 300-yard day and 3 touchdowns or something, but just the way that it worked out or whatever, the receiver wasn't necessarily a guy you had to have. And like a prime candidate for that to me is like if you see like a Caleb Williams falling a little bit, and maybe you were trying to set up some stuff earlier and you didn't get an elite quarterback, maybe you got sniped on Dak or something. Like Caleb Williams with all his different passing options is definitely a guy that, like, especially in like a playoff pod scenario, he could have a 20 something point game, but his receivers all just the ball kind of got spread around. Nobody had more than 1 touchdown, that type of stuff. Whereas on the opposite end, like Geno Smith is a guy that I really don't want unstacked. Speaking of Caleb Williams and the unstacked being a good thing, let's go ahead and take him. Maybe we will stack him up though. But like on the opposite end, Geno, I feel like anytime that Geno has a really good game where you would want him in your lineup, it's almost always going to include Brock Bowers. So he's a guy that I don't necessarily want to take unstacked. Let's go Nico here. I don't love Goff. We don't love Herbert. We have two quarterbacks that we like a lot. I was kind of hoping Purdy would come back to me, but Mark snagged him up. We'll just rock with Jaden and Caleb for right now. See what comes back in round 4. Fun, tough, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's always fun when rooms like this, but it definitely is tough. You definitely got to be on your game. This bandit is having him a nice little nightcap drink while he listens to the nightcap and drafts some best ball. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Let's see. Not really sure what we want to do with this pick. Probably need to grab that third quarterback before too long. Ah, 12. He can move a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my first running back. Let's take Brees. I feel like I can probably still get a quarterback I like. There's a few dudes who are all kind of in the same tier to me right there. So Brees wasn't coming back to me, I didn't think, and we want more Brees. Might do one of those badge bro contests after this before we call it a night. I was telling y'all earlier, there's a particular way I want to try to build one based on I did actually I did two of them actually come to think about it earlier. Didn't love the way the teams turned out, but now I feel like I have kind of a good feel for how players are going in there. Not sure. You know what? I don't want to pass up on Hampton, so I'm probably going to regret it quarterback wise, but at the end of the day, we'll just piece the back end of the quarterback room together. We have Jalen and Jaden and Caleb up top. I just felt like right there, Hampton was a better pick than taking a third quarterback. Could be wrong. I don't know. We'll see. Liking the team though. I do like to get me one receiver sometimes on a team like this and then just kind of be done for a while at receiver. But at least you have the one guy that can put up, a 30-point game for you, 25-point game, whatever. Nico can definitely do that. Have two running backs that we feel really good about, two quarterbacks that we feel really good about. Guess you can call it kind of a balanced super flex build. I don't know. Do they even have names for super flex builds like they have the other stuff? Steve's out here trying to make people pay for pushing QB at all, taking 4 in a row after he took Gibbs. That just means there'll be some more of the gross quarterbacks hanging around later. I knew I liked you, Steve. Bourbon is my drink of choice as well. And old fashions are my favorite also. I knew I liked that guy. We'll go with gross old Daniel Jones. Why not? Give me just a second. Let's see. What do we want to do here? I know it was early for him, but that was part of the plan when I took Hampton. Was I figured if I was willing to reach a little early for him, I could just do the whole Indy thing. And then now I know I have whoever Indy's quarterback is. Both of them have a little bit of rushing upside to for my third quarterback, along with Jaden and Caleb Williams. So now we feel overall really good about the QB room. We still have our two running backs up top. We can grab some more running backs at the next turn. There still should be some decent ones out there for 3 and 4. What are y'all's favorite bourbons? My two favorite ones probably are Woodford and what's that one? Knob Creek is pretty good too. Knob Creek is a little more potent. It's a little stronger. Sometimes I like Bullet too. Bullet's a good one. Oh, Steve really out there taking Tyler Shook on accident? Maybe the 5 QBs in the first 7 rounds is what you need. That sucks, Steve. Sorry. Do we want to go Aaron Jones? Probably Aaron Jones. Let's grab us a third running back with Jones. I've had that before. It's nice too. Let's see. We could go back with the running back here, but I think if he holds, we want to just go ahead and take Rome as a second receiver. Pair him with Caleb. We're liking the team. We got Jaden and Caleb, and then the Indy quarterback, Brees Hall, Hampton, and Jones. Nico and Rome so far at receiver. I feel like it's coming together okay. Smoky old fashioned with the king cube and orange peel and one of those fancy cherries. Yeah, they're nice. Most of the time, if I'm making it myself, I just go a lot simpler. I'm cheap. I'll make my own simple syrup. You can just boil water and sugar and make a little homemade version of simple syrup. And I'll use like a little bit of that. And HEB has these orange flavored bitters, the like, amaretto bitters or whatever that they put in it. HEB has one that's pretty smooth, and I'll shake a couple drops of that in there and mix a little simple syrup in there and call it a day. It's pretty good though. I like it. Um, I was planning on maybe going to running back here, but I think we want to grab Debo. Next pick will hit the running back room up. What could we use in the running back room? We have Hall, Hampton, and Jones. I don't feel like this is a team that really needs like Ramondre. I lied. Let's go with Warren. Let's put Warren with the Indy quarterbacks. You guys know me. I'm all about the team correlation. I like as many stacks as I can get on my teams. I thought Warren was a better pick for this team than the kind of know what you get running backs that were on the board right there with that particular pick. Wanna be gritties. That's funny. Good old HEB. Yeah, that's the go-to. You're a Texas boy. You know about the HEB. I knew I liked you too, Dirty P. I knew there was a reason. We are on the clock. let's hop over and make a pick before we end up like our man Steve. I think we want to go running back, but I think this team we can kind of just shoot for some big play upside. You know, we have Hall, we have Hampton, we have Jones. Grab Tootin a little bit past ADP. Probably go with another one here too would be my guess. Maybe. Well, we could go with no, we don't want to do that yet. Maybe if he ended up coming back. I like Trey Benson a lot too, though. Don't really know if I want to go with two rookie tight ends. Let's go Benson. We already have Rome on the team to go with Caleb. We had already took Warren. That's one rookie tight end. Just didn't really want to go with Loveland on that particular pick. K. Willis team is dust. Let's go take a look. Barkley, Genty, Bucky, Jacobs, Cook, Kenneth Walker, with Jackson Dart as your first QB. Yeah, he is paying the rake, as they say. That is for sure. This is an 11-man pod fighting for 2 spots. That's insane. Maybe he forgot he was in a super flex. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight running backs in a super flex. Let's see. Tight end, running back. You know what? He came back to me, and now it's a pretty good value. Now we're really glad that we went with Benson over Loveland with that last pick because we actually got Burden to come back on some pretty nice value. 152 is his ADP. We got him at 165. I like that double stack because of the value better anyways. Part of the reason why I did it too was because we really like putting Ertz with Jaden, and I knew it would kind of work out ADP wise. So that's part of why we passed on the Loveland pick to go with Benson, which kind of worked out. Then Burden came way back to us. Now we grab Ertz to pair with Warren in the tight end room. We're liking it. We're liking the way the team's coming together. Steve, what do you think about The whole Rice news today. I was talking about it at the beginning of my stream, and I don't know, it was almost like I just kind of had a random thought out of nowhere today when I was thinking about the KC stuff. And like, I know everybody wants KC to go back to just airing the ball out all over the field like they did years ago almost at this point. But it's like at the end of the day, they have just a what, maybe average-ish tackle that they brought in, and then a rookie first round tackle on the other side. The strength of their offensive line is Smith and Humphreys up the middle. I'm not so sure that they really want to not just be the same team that they've been with primarily the short game passing stuff and running the ball and playing good defense and yeah, taking shots here or there to whatever player they have running down the field. Probably Worthy. They'll also get Worthy involved, with shorter stuff too, I think. Let's see. I need to make a pick here, don't we? I guess let's grab Pierce. But I think the biggest winner of the whole Rice stuff in some weird way is one Pacheco. And the reason that I said that in the beginning tonight is because I think that KC is just going to be content, probably doing what they've kind of been doing. And like, okay, like, I have notoriously been somebody that hasn't been in on Pacheco, but I think I'm kind of changing my stance on that now with the Rice news because my thinking was, well, if he is slow at first, coming back from that injury, maybe just maybe they give some other running backs a shot. Maybe they put Brashard Smith, who I just drafted in there to, just be an all-out passing team a little more. But I think without Rice, if Pacheco is just Pacheco still and he is healthy and he is good, then that's more of a reason for them just to be content playing the way that they have. And even if Pacheco starts a little bit slow without Rice there, I kind of think as long as they're winning games, that buys him time, that they're going to keep trying to see if they can't get him, back into full form and stuff. And then I think that the second winner, depending on how far down he falls on the board, could actually be Rice in some way because I have not been drafting him in the second round, and I don't know how far he'll end up falling. But if he starts falling down, like say into the fourth round, and you can grab you some shares of him there. Let's say he ends up missing. It depends on the suspension, I guess, too. If it ends up being like 3 or 4 games, Rice in the fourth round, if they really play the way that everybody thinks they want to play, which is basically Rice is the new and improved Kelsey, then like you're going to have him the whole second half of the year. You're going to have him down the stretch. You're going to have him in the playoffs. But I don't know if KC is going to be this team that everybody wants them to go back to just, the fun KC team where they were airing it out all the damn time and stuff. I just don't know if that's going to happen myself. And I guess maybe I've kind of thought that all along, but just never really, I guess, brought the thought to the front of my head because my percentages definitely show it. I mean, I don't have a ton of Worthy. I have more Worthy than I have of like Rice, but I don't have a ton of Worthy. I have very, very little, like few shares maybe at best of Kelsey. I have 1% Rice, and it's been when he falls into the third round, and I thought he was the best click at that particular time in the third round. I don't know. Yeah, I know that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm not talking about like them not throwing it and being just a straight ground and pound team. I'm talking about like, there's a lot of bigger talking heads out there, I'll call them, or just prominent people in the best ball space who do like think that KC is going to go back to this, just the fun stuff from back in the day where the A dot was higher, and back in the Hill days when they were chunking it deep to Tyreek Hill and then hitting Kelsey, underneath and stuff like that. And I don't know if that's the case. And if they play the way they played last year, I don't know. I guess that's why I've kind of been out on Worthy because if he does what he did before he got injured over the whole course of the season, then yes, Rice is an awesome pick where he was going even in the late second round. But I guess I just am like leery that that's really like going to be something that teams are going to allow them to do. Like, I mean, it's like pick your poison, right? Like they saw how deadly he can be if you just try to cover him with linebackers or whatever and let him do it. So I think teams will try their best to take that away and make the Chiefs beat them other ways. I'm not saying Rice would be a total dud. I don't know. It's a tough team to know exactly who's going to be the good picks from. Like all along, if Rice would have been going, say, mid to late third, like I would have been way more in on him. But just when I first started drafting a whole lot on underdog, at least this year after coming over from DraftKings, he was already kind of like an early third guy, and that was a hard click. And then as soon as we started seeing him running around on the field, he started going more like late second. And then it was almost like I didn't really just want him at all. I don't know. But I think Pacheco could be the real winner in it all. That is a very good point, David. Godwin was doing just as good. He never went where Rice did. Mahomes was dealing when he had one of the best left tackles in the league. It's been tough sledding for an offense since, which is why I'm very concerned. Why I'm very concerned for Baker's Bucks. Yeah, that's been another team. Now the Bucks, I think the Bucks will be a really good offense overall. I'll be honest with you guys. I haven't been in on drafting the Bucks this year, and my percentages would probably say so. You know what? Let's go look real quick. And it's not because I do not think it's not because I don't think that the Bucks are a really good team. The Bucks are a really good offense. But it's just like I don't see any way that they're all paying off their prices. Yes, you guys notice one little green thing that is notoriously not there. We are still 0% Bucky Irvin. I tend to think he's going to be one of the guys that has the hardest time paying off his price. I guess of all the players, I feel the best about Mike Evans. That's why I have 13% of him. I like taking White. I can't really think that Bucky's a bad pick. at his ADP and then not take some White. So I have 7% of him, 6% Baker, and then I've just sprinkled in Godwin and Ibuka. Very little, but not much at all. And again, it's not because I don't think, that those guys are, that the team overall is a really good team. I think the overall team, and most of this is talking even before the Tristan Wirth news came out about him missing. But it's like what I'm trying to do is more so than anything, I want to pick players from teams on a good offense, but then also paired with I know kind of what their role is, or I have a little better conviction in, hey, like this guy is going to get the ball a lot. Um, I guess let's just look at what have I drafted recently. You guys want to see my Dalmatians? I ended up getting two of them in. We'll just use that for what I was going to look at. This is one of my Dalmatians. It's Jaden and CJ. We did the whole Texan thing on it actually. Jaden and CJ. We have Mixon, Connor, Warren, Ray Davis, Roshan Johnson, and Giddens is our running back room. Nico, Ladd, Devontae Adams, Steph Diggs, Jaden Higgins, Keenan Allen, and Adonai Mitchell in the receiver room. Tyler Warren, Zach Ertz, and Theo Johnson in the tight end room. But the reason I went to it is because it was a recent draft. And like with Bucky, me personally, I'm way more in on what I feel like it's a risk, but I'm of the belief that the Dolphins are going to be, as long as Tua stays healthy, more like the Dolphins of 2 years ago versus last year. That's just my belief. That's how I've been drafting the Dolphins. I would rather take Tyreek Hill any day over Bucky Irvin. Somebody drafted Hampton early third in that one. I just noticed that. JT, I would rather draft Taylor on a team that he is going to be the main focal point, especially if we get Daniel Jones at quarterback over AR. I think that just in some way kind of helps Taylor's upside because you don't have to worry as much about AR stealing goal line touches from him. But I don't know. Baker's been kind of, like I said, the one. I mean, not Baker. Adams has been kind of Evans. I keep getting my names mixed up tonight. Sorry. Mike Evans is the one guy that I've been kind of the most in on because you can get him, there in the early fourth, and when you're drafting him with the likes of Terry McLaurin or, super spike week guy, I think, in my opinion, J-Mo. Yeah, like I still like Mike Evans right there where he goes. I really liked my other Dalmatian better, so I'll show you guys that one. I did a thing in it. I went with my boy Lamar, but I played the board kind of interesting. So one thing I noticed about the Dalmatian was it's a kind of small final, if I remember right. And then, it's like you get 4 teams out of the first round. The second round is 1 of 5, but then that week 16, that is kind of your hardest week, It's like 1 of 8 in week 16. So this was the first one that I drafted, and I purposely tried to go after some week 16 stuff. Like that's why we went with Hill, because the Bengals and the Dolphins play each other week 16. And then I was like, you know what? There's probably not in this small of a tournament going to be enough people or going to be a lot of people who's willing to pull Lamar all the way up to the early third to pair him with Chase. A lot of people are going to probably, take Burrow at the 4-5 or hope that they can get the Burrow to come back, at round 6 or whatever. And so I was like, that we get 4 teams out. So if you put a good team together, if you get out of that first round and you start getting into the playoffs, that could be like a nice way to be really different from the Jamar Chase teams is have Lamar on it. And y'all know how I feel about Lamar. So we went with Lamar, and then we just really said, you know what, we're going to push our QB2 since we feel good about Lamar. 4 teams make it out of the pod. We were okay just pushing our QB2 all the way to Aaron Rodgers. So then we took Pacheco, Swift, Warren, Ramondre, Trey Benson, and Jaden Blue as the running backs on that team. Jamar Chase, Hill, Pickens. We had Metcalf with Rodgers, Luther Burden, Adam Thielen, and DeAndre Hopkins. And then our tight end room, we had Mark Andrews, Hunter Henry, and Fryermuth. The Hunter Henry pick and the Ramondre pick were kind of just like with the Chase and the Hill stuff. I knew the Baltimore and New England kind of played each other in that week 16. So I was like, you know what? Let me try to, since I'm going to do the Lamar thing, let me try to make sure I get some New England players in there. Let's catch up on chat, and then I think I'm gonna draft. I'm gonna try one of those badge drafts. I have a certain particular build structure that I want to try. Let's Green Bean said he was waiting on one for Eliminator. How the hell is Bucky round 2 and Brees and Kyron and Hampton are going much later? David, I knew I liked you. I don't know if you watched. Y'all know me and Candyman and Hartman have been doing stuff together on Tuesdays. The very first time that we were together on Tuesday, I actually put it in that little 15-minute thank you video that I made. If y'all want to watch that, it was just a thank you for supporting me. I've enjoyed this journey and you guys make it fun type video. But I went on like a 5-minute rant that night because the theme for the show was players were out on. And I said that same dang thing in my 5-minute rant was how much later you can get Brees, how much later you can get Kyron. I have no interest in drafting Bucky in the late second round when I can get Brees and Kyron and yeah, even Hampton so much later. Having a running quarterback usually helps the efficiency. Yeah, no, I agree. It's like a give or take, you know. Like if you're talking about like when I was talking about the Daniel Jones and AR stuff, it's like it does help the efficiency, but then especially with somebody who's big and strong like AR, it can sometimes, you know, cut into those easy from the 2, from the 3 yard line type touchdowns. Talking about some PGA stuff. I am not much on PGA. I'll be honest with you guys, like with 4 kids and all, and a wife who's not really into sports at all, I try to keep my sports to my girls' soccer teams. They both play, 2 of my girls play pretty competitive soccer and NFL stuff. I'll try to squeeze in some Longhorn games when I can. That's another good point. That's another good point. Like Hurts and Saquon, you know. So I guess maybe even if it is AR, maybe I'm still fine with JT. In all fairness, I was drafting JT at the beginning of the year when we thought that AR was going to be the quarterback, anyways. Um, since there's only 6 spots, if y'all want to try to hop in it with me in a minute, I'll still do the countdown thing, or not countdown, but the little time thing. Oh, my computer is bugging out on me here. Let's try that again. Underdog's like bugging out on me for a minute. It won't. There it goes. But right at 11:57, I'm gonna try to enter one of these badge bro drafts, and I want to try a particular build, and we'll see how it comes out. If none of you guys are in the draft, I'll tell you what the strategy is, but we don't want to disclose it before we see who is in the room. If you haven't hit the like, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like. It helps us out a lot. It really does. I'm still doing my deep dives. If there's a particular player that you want me to tell you my opinion on, tell you how much I have of them, when the video is not live anymore, jump back in it. Throw me a comment in the comment section of what that player is, and I'll be sure to get to him in one of the next few nights. What's today? Thursday. We will be here tomorrow night. Saturday nights we take off. Although in a couple Saturdays we will be doing something, but we'll talk more about that whenever it gets a little bit closer. Steve is in here with us, and Hartman is in here, and David is in here. So we can definitely not disclose our strategy. This will be fun, boys. This will be fun. Look at that. Us four have picks 1, 2, 3, 4 also. How about that? What's up, Candyman? How'd your stream go tonight, sir? I caught you open, but then I had to get ready for my stuff. But still wanted to stop by and smash the like for you. Throw a comment in the comment section, of course. We got a fun one here. We jumped in a Badge Bro draft, and we have Hartman, me, Steve, and David all in the same little room. So it should be fun. There's a particular strategy that I want to try. And we're going to see if we can make it work. All red badges except for my little lone black badge. We're working our way up there, boys. We started on Underdog a lot later than you guys. How do the badges go, by the way? Is it like every year, like calendar year it starts over, or is it like once you get a red badge, you're always red badge? That is something I was wondering the other day. Been meaning to ask you guys. Um, let's go Genty. Bijan and Genty. And JT. It's interesting. We have some people going super heavy wide receiver, some people going super heavy running back. The 6 hole so far is kind of just mixing it up. What running backs? 5, 8, and 11 on our bye weeks at running back. These things go quick too, though. Let's grab our boy Lamar. And we want to actually grab Jaden with him. I'll tell you guys at the end, I don't know if the strategy is right or if the strategy is wrong. I've only done 2 contests of these ever, but just seeing how the board kind of went in the 2 that I did earlier today, I had this thought about a particular build I wanted to do. And so we're trying to make it work. We'll see how it turns out. And so far, I will say that it's kind of working out the way that I was hoping it would work out. And I think the plan is going pretty well. We shall see at the end when it's all said and done. I'm hitting them with the gritty. It's far enough in that I can go ahead and tell you, yes, Hartman, that was it. So one thing that I noticed earlier today when doing it was because there's only 6 teams, like I know I know the roster spots are the same, right? That like you still start 3 receivers, flex, 2 running backs, tight end, quarterback. But what I was noticing was that like it hits a point where like receivers just go way past, what the ADP is because the ADP is still based off the other thing, and you are not taking you only have 6 teams fighting over all the wide receivers, not 12 teams like in a normal draft. And so I was getting to like the back half of the first 2 drafts that I did, and I was like, man, there is like so many good wide receivers here that like not even saying it has to be a 2, 4, 10, 2, but maybe even like a 2, 5, 9, 2, something like that. But I wanted to try just getting 2 smash quarterbacks, Lamar and Jaden. I mean, QB room is fire. We got a tight end that we like a lot in Kittle, and there's still a bunch of guys right in here that I could pair with Kittle for just a hella nice tight end room. We might even make one more detour for running back at some point. But just knowing the guys that would be on the board or whatever, I was like, man, you could have a super deep wide receiver room with nine wide receivers that you feel really damn good about all of them. Or even 8, even if you end up going with the 6th running back. If you have 8 receivers and they're not the trash 8, like if you try an extreme build like this in the regular 12 team thing where you have 2 elite quarterbacks, a really strong tight end room, super heavy up top with running backs, you're going to be you're going to be really weak at receiver. I tried one like that for giggles. It's one of my first videos actually on my channel. It was a 2-4-10-2 team that I set out specifically to do that. And like I think Diggs was my first wide receiver, but with this particular format here, like I still got guys like Ted Pickens and Zay Flowers as my top 3 guys. We're going to have a lot of depth, so I think that kind of allows me to even take a guy like Addison here. I don't know. It was just something I wanted to try based on what I saw earlier. And I gotta say, I'm liking the team a lot. I know we'll all like our teams because they're all super teams. That's why I don't know honestly how many of these I'll do. This is a contest to me that like it's such a crapshoot, right? If you at all know what you're doing in a draft, like I bet if I look over Hartman, Steve, and David's teams at the end of this, they're all gonna be damn near elite ass super teams. It's just gonna come down to, which team makes a little bit more points over 14 weeks than the other ones did. Sure, some people will draft it wrong, or some people will not have as good of teams, but at the end of the day, this is just a contest. I guess what I'm getting at is that this is a contest that I want to draft a few teams in because it's really fun to draft them, but not necessarily a contest that I want like a ton of or anything like that. I don't think. Like, yeah, give me a tight end room of Andrews and Kittles, Andrews paired with Lamar. When I still have the running backs that we do, the receivers, I mean, I didn't really sacrifice a lot. Ted Pickens, Flowers, Jordan Addison, Debo so far. That's going to be the one position group that we really get a lot of volume in. You know what? Let's go with Jennings. Might be able to get the other guy to come back. I didn't like the first 2 teams that I drafted near as much as I'm liking this one. So I think if I do draft more of these, this will probably be somewhat the strategy I go with. How are we looking at bye weeks on receivers? Whatever. We'll take Reed. We wanted Golden, but Steve grabbed him. No biggie. Because I have so many receivers, I'm gonna do a thing. Let's see. If we do that, it's still only those that are out in the bye week, and then that gives us the whole San Francisco. Well, other than the rookie, I guess. Or not rookie, the second year guy. So many good receivers go undrafted in this thing too, just because of there's so little, actual total teams drafting them. I mean, even running backs, we don't even get down to a lot of our favorites. I think one strategy in this too, if you're somebody who's going to draft a lot of them, it could be very beneficial to go down and, if there's guys that you think like a Tootin who is going to be a league winner or something like that, if you feel that way about him, I'm not saying I do, but if you feel that way about him, might be smart to go down and get him, because he's going to go undrafted in a lot of these things. That's kind of why I did what I did just now. And because I would have so much volume at receiver, normally I'm always out on IU, but I feel like I already had Jennings, I already had Kittle. So I feel like, yeah, maybe Kittle and Jennings can definitely help me, early in the year and win the pod. But hey, maybe if IU's killing it in the playoffs and we get there, I can afford to wait with him on this team because he's what, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, my eighth, or no, seven, yeah, eighth receiver that I drafted. And that's kind of why I went down and got Higgins too, just because he's not going to get drafted a whole lot in this either. So with those last two receivers, I just tried to throw on a couple guys that could help me in the playoffs if I make the playoffs and who also don't get drafted that often. Kittle and Andrews. The receiver room is Ted, Pickens, Flowers, Addison, Debo, Jennings, Jaden Reed, Ayuk, and Higgins. Bijan, Genty, and JT. Cook and Pacheco as the running back room. Purposely did no overlapping buys. Lamar and Jaden at QB. Just for fun, let's look at y'all's teams. Let's see. Let me see how wrong I'm probably building. Hartman went 2-6-7-2 with Burrow and CJ. Bucky, Kenneth Walker, Travion Henderson, Brian Robinson, Jalen Warren, and Mason. He had Jamar Chase, Neighbors, Collins, T. Higgins, Marvin Harrison, Devontae Adams, Rasheed Rice. Rasheed Rice had pick 60. Come on now. That's a smart pick there. That is a very smart pick, especially because just like my Ayuk thing, you have plenty of time to let him wait. You still have Chase, Nico, Neighbors, Higgins, got the Burrow thing, Sam Laporta, and Kraft. They're all going to be super teams. Steve went 4-5-7-2 with Pat Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Drake May, and Caleb, Omarion Hampton, Chuba Hubbard, Kamara, RJ Harvey, and Johnson. Good enough RB room. Receivers are probably, yeah, elite. JJ, Puka, Amon St. Brown, and Ladd all on the same team with Xavier Worthy, Diggs, and Golden, McBride, and Loveland as your tight ends. What about David? David went with the 2-6-8-2. Baker and Goff. So went a little less on the quarterbacks, but still a good room. Barkley and Henry and Jacobs and Kyron. That's like my running back room there. Just four dudes. Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones. Still have BTJ and Tyreek up top. Mike Evans, J-Mo, Waddle, Ridley, Devontae Smith, and Golden. Tyler Warren and Goddard at tight end. Fun draft, guys. Fun draft. Yeah, wild, wild west. Guys just kind of go wherever. That's what I was saying. If I had to guess, I'll say I'll probably not end up with a lot, maybe like 10 teams or something like that. It's not a contest I wanna, like, make a point to draft a lot of, but and it's gonna feel really fast. Like, what is it already, like how full is this sucker already? Oh, I guess it just came out today. Oh, it's only 4% filled. I guess I guess a lot of people aren't as into it as they are some of the other ones. I think I'm gonna call it a night, boys. I'll let y'all have at it. Kinda got a headache that creeped up out of nowhere. Need to go take some medicine. But, I appreciate you guys coming in as always. It was fun. Let's see. I will be here tomorrow night. Not sure what I'll be drafting, but we'll definitely be on same time, 10 o'clock. It's the nightcap. You guys already know. Spread the word if you would. Help your boy out. We kind of been stuck on that 120 something subs now for a while. I definitely appreciate y'all for hanging out with me. Spread the word. If you know some other people who are up drafting at night, let them know. Hey, go check out JT Best Ball. Definitely appreciate you, Steve. I know I hear you shouting out my channel all the time on your stream. I appreciate that. Until next time, which is tomorrow, you guys have a good night. Have fun drafting whatever you draft out there the rest of the evening and tomorrow.
But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands up